people are motivated by earning credentials quickly. They know that there's a quick turnaround. I only have to go to school for 3 months maybe, and I'll get that credential. I can get into the workforce, get some experience, and continue to grow.
That's the voice of Kevin Gollenbeck, director of the Sarasota Chamber's Career Edge program. Kevin joins us with a case study on the Bridges to Careers program, offering short and free career training to people of all ages in in-demand fields. Welcome back. This is Inside America's Best Cities, and I'm Amanda Ellis of Livability Media. We are your partner for telling your community's stories, attracting talent, and getting your place in front of the right people. At Livability, we highlight the nation's most vibrant, small and mid-sized cities, so relocating talent and business decision makers glean the insights they need. Our newsstand quality publications, as well as digital experiences at livability.com, showcase you as one of America's best places. That's a bit about our work, and with that, let's jump in. Welcome, Kevin, to Inside America's Best Cities, kicking off our 2026 season. Super excited to have you.
Hi, Amanda. Yeah, excited to be here. This is going to be a great conversation and just totally looking forward to it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, excited to hear about some of the workforce stuff that you're doing. I think it's a great example for other communities. And I know you shared that this is your podcast debut, and we love a good debut. So let's jump in.
All right, sounds good.
So we're here to talk about specifically a program that you all are doing called Bridges to Careers. And wanted to start by having you share just a little bit of an overview of this, how it works.
Yeah, so Career Edge Funders Collaborative is part of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce. And within that subset, we have our Bridges to Careers program, which is really our community-facing program. So this is short-term, skills-based training that we offer, fully paid for by Career Edge and our funders. And it's just trying to get people to get some quick credentials, get quick training, and then move into the workforce in high-demand areas that we know our community needs. So participants apply, then they are vetted, they're kind of screened, and that's just for like fit readiness to make sure that there's, if there are any issues or barriers, that we can kind of address them kind of proactively, and then they enroll in the training. The trainings can range from 6 to 12 weeks. We've had as long as 20 weeks long, and they are in specific industries. So healthcare, manufacturing, skills trades like plumbers, electricians, HVAC technicians, as well as transportation is another one of our industries. So the goal is just that we get them ready for employment, and then, from training directly to employment, connecting them with local employers, and really trying to expedite the whole process because there's such a need for these specific roles in our community.
Gotcha. Do those trainings run consistently? Like, for example, you mentioned healthcare as one of the tracks. Does that run, 3 times a year, for example? Or are they kind of just based on the demand that you're seeing from the community and interest from people?
Yeah, great question. So we actually offer multiple CNA fast tracks, and we do that for a variety of reasons, just to help meet our kind of client, if you will, our participant where they are. So we have a steady program at one of the technical colleges that's sort of a rolling program. We try to fill a specific Career Edge cohort. So the whole class will be funded by Career Edge, but then they also offer kind of in-demand, they offer 5 or 6 programs throughout the year. And then we have some seats in each of those programs. Now that one is unique because it's full-time, 7:30 to 2:30. And it's really for somebody who's maybe working nights and weekends, and they have time available to go to school in the morning, kind of that 7 to 2 time frame. And then we also offer a different program with a private school, and that one is hybrid. So they are online learning 3 days a week, 10 weeks long. So it's a little bit longer than the other one. But then the hybrid option really helps with transportation. And then they do kind of in-person skills training as well as clinical hours with some of the local employer partners. So for healthcare, the need is just so much higher than the rest of the programs that we offer. I mean, there's a huge skills gap in healthcare. And so we try to offer more programs more often, just so that kind of widening that highway and that pipeline to meet the need.
Gotcha. But they may not all, run the same way depending on that demand.
Yeah, it usually falls into kind of, and this would apply to the other programs as well, kind of a cadence similar to the school, right? You've got a fall program and a spring program, and that's usually how it runs.
Gotcha. How long have you been doing this?
So Career Edge has been around for 16 years. It hasn't always been at the chamber. It's been home at the chamber for about 8 years now, and I've been with the chamber for just over 3 years. Uh, these fast track training programs have been in existence pretty much from the onset, but kind of ebbed and flowed throughout the years depending on the staff and things like that. But the chamber's role is really, to convene everyone. We're kind of in the middle of everyone, the employers, the funders, the nonprofit organizations, community organizations, and so we really play a role to facilitate it, the whole process.
Gotcha. So a lot of partnerships, it sounds like, which of course is kind of keeping everything running all the time in chamber world. So how are specific employers engaging with this program? Like I would imagine your local hospitals and healthcare organizations, have a very vested interest in that healthcare training. What does that look like?
Yeah, so it depends on the industry. So I would say, for healthcare, after the training's completed, we host career fairs right here at the chamber. So it's kind of like closed door. We invite our employers who are interested in hiring the role. We bring our students who have graduated, they're prepped, they've taken their credentials test, or they're in, kind of that limbo period before they get scheduled to take that. And we help facilitate those job um, fairs right here in the chamber. But then for like HVAC technicians, for example, and plumbers, our education provider will invite those contractors to the classroom. We found that we've done the job fair model as well. It's a little bit of a feeding frenzy if you can imagine, like 10 employers all, there's only maybe 15 or 20 students and they're all kind of trying to get some face time with them. So that relationship model of visiting the classroom, kind of sharing what you have to offer, answering those individualized questions has been a little bit more fruitful, especially in that industry. For transportation, we partner with local employers, and we have sort of a different model there where they can nominate their own staff to attend, and so we pay. They've kind of been nominated from their employer to go and attend this, so it's like an extra added benefit. So there's lots of different models, just depending on the industry, but it's always including everyone in the process and making sure that their voice is heard.
So from the student perspective, I know that there's never any guarantees, but pretty much like if you apply yourself and complete this, you're not going to have any issues landing something with a local employer.
Yeah, yeah, we go above and beyond. For all the fast tracks, we will bring in a third party consultant who's an expert in adult education. She stays up to date on interview skills, resume building, kind of routines and fads and trends or whatever, and really kind of a consultant for them. I mean, we do that as well. So if anyone has, hey, Kevin, can you send me or can you give me some feedback on my resume? I always encourage them to do that. Um, so yeah, we don't guarantee a job because we're really not. That's not our place. We want to fund their training and support them along the way and afterwards. But we've had pretty good success with it.
Talk a little more about the funding. So, no cost to participants, right?
Hmm.
But of course, costs associated with running the program. And I'm sure that kind of goes back to some of the partners we mentioned. But how does that kind of work, especially in a time where we've seen a lot, in 2025 of different federal funding, getting trimmed, and that really affected a lot of programs. So I know that's something people always wonder about with these, especially nowadays.
Hmm. The Sarasota area and Manatee County are kind of retirement areas. There's a lot of philanthropy locally. We're blessed with that. So all of our funding for these programs is privately funded. We haven't had to worry about federal cutbacks or anything like that. So we're really blessed to have that support of our funders. And we also partner with some other nonprofits and organizations that have similar goals and missions to us. So, for example, in the healthcare industry, we partner with another organization. They're based out of Baltimore, Dwyer Workforce Development, great partners of ours. Don't mind giving them a shout out. And so they come alongside us, we come alongside them, and we fund things together. They can offer a little bit more, wraparound support for those startup costs in healthcare. It can be difficult to get started. You've got background checks, drug screening, immunizations, and those startup costs are often a barrier. So if there's a requirement from the education provider or you know some type of requirement, we always try to bring a resource with that so that we can point them to somebody and have a partner that can help them get that addressed.
Right. Any other wraparound support that happens as part of this program, like childcare resources or transportation or anything to help address some of those barriers people can have to making career changes?
Yeah, we provide some of that. Like I said, Dwyer's a great partner. They provide a little bit more, but it's all on a case by case basis. I mean, I give you an example. We had a guy in one of our HVAC classes. He's driving 40 miles every day. Well, that adds up. So he was kind of embarrassed to say anything, but he talked to his teacher. His teacher and I talk, and as well as the individual. And I met him, gave him a gas card. Just support. So
Right. Well, it's so true. I mean, especially with where we are right now in the economy, a lot of basics have gotten a lot more expensive, right? And even if you are able to kind of work around doing this, it's just yeah, nice I think to have some room to acknowledge those things that can just make it a little bit harder. So I love that. We talked about so this program's been running for some years. Are there any favorite numbers you like to share about the overall impact? Like maybe, how many people have graduated or just anything you're really proud of there?
yeah, yeah. So this program has grown over the last 3 years. When I started in 2023, we had a total of 4 fast tracks throughout the course of the whole calendar year, and we served 35 people. 31 graduated, so we like that graduation rate there. But we saw opportunity to continue to grow. So then in 2024, we served about 53 participants, 45 graduated. So again, high levels of completion, credentials earned, and then the official evaluation hasn't come out for 2025 yet, but we served 91 people and 83 graduated. So again, up in that 80 to 90 range for completion. And just one of the ways that we measure the impact is kind of pre and post wage earnings. And so, that number has continued to grow, and we'll have, last year was like $9 on average that somebody would go through the program, and then afterwards they're making $9 more. There's a lot of kind of unemployed people going through the program, kind of job shifting or career changes, and things like that. So that's really how we measure. Part of the way that we measure the success of the program is the pre and post wage earnings, and just trying to get them on that career ladder.
Yeah. Share more about the typical profile of people who are participating in this. Like, is it usually they're just, underemployed and looking to climb that ladder a little bit? Unemployed? Is it, people who are middle aged pivoting or people right out of like, and probably some of all of it, but what do you see there?
Yeah, it's always a mix, and I love that it is a mix. They're just tapping into different parts of the population. I mean, we've seen every kind of archetype from young people entering the labor market. You've got unemployed or underemployed. You've got career changers. A good example, we had a guy go through the HVAC technician training. He was a manager at a local restaurant and working nights and weekends. He's kind of climbed the ladder. He's running the whole place, but he's missing that time with his family. So he's looking for different schedules, more earning potential, and things like that. So those are sort of the main kind of groups. But I love that we tap into so many different people that it really is a rich and diverse group every time.
Yeah, I like that too. And it's something I really like about a lot of these kind of shorter programs that people can, design a little bit around a job or around other obligations, because I think often so much workforce development is focused on kind of the, you know, 18 to early 20s group, right? And of course, we want to get them on a good trajectory, but like, what about people that, maybe ended up in a field that's not so in demand now or just kind of need or want to do something different? So I love the inclusion of having it be something everyone can benefit from.
Mhm.
How do you go about promoting this, recruiting students? It sounds like you've been doing it for a while, so maybe there's some solid community awareness you've already built up. But what does that look like promoting?
Yeah, there's a lot of just communication with our partners, so the education providers, the employers who are hiring afterwards, um, local groups, community organizations. We really just try to get the word out. We have an award-winning communications team here at the chamber, and they are, sending communication all the time, getting the word out. We do press releases. A lot of the local press will pick them up and share them about the opportunities, and just bigger buckets catch more rain. So we just try to spread the message as well as we can. And there's definitely some more brand awareness now. Word of mouth has certainly helped considerably as people have gone through the program. They've had a positive experience. They want to talk about it. They want to share with their friends. Hey, I've been working as a home health aide for a long time and I still haven't, I'm ready to take the next step. So, hey, how did you get that? Where did you go? And that has sort of snowballed to help us grow the capacity of the program and how many people are hearing about it, applying, and going through our process.
How does it dovetail with things that your community college is offering? So it sounds like you've definitely got some partnerships there, but like, does this compete with them at all? I guess is what I'm asking. Like, if they have longer programs or programs people can like apply, FAFSA money to, like, if that makes sense, what I'm asking, is there any like competition there? Is it just like different things on offer for everybody and everyone wins?
I think we try to avoid any competition. It's really just about kind of having a variety of programs, offering them. We're not taking away any of their potential students. If anything, we're maybe helping bring more students to them with our kind of outreach and broader connections with the industries. So yeah, we try to avoid where it's competitive. I don't think we've really gotten into that space where we're you know spinning our wheels or eating somebody else's plate. We're making sure that it's a win-win for everybody.
Right, trying to look at what's additive. And I guess too, if you think about it, like since these programs are shorter, I mean, we talked about 6 to 12 weeks. So that's only going to be certain things you can fit into that versus what would need to be longer or on more of that traditional, like multiple semester type basis.
Yeah, people are motivated by earning credentials quickly. They know that there's a quick turnaround. I only have to go to school for 3 months maybe, and I'll get that credential. I can get into the workforce, get some experience, and continue to grow. We're considering longer programs like medical assistant or dental assistant maybe in the future. Those are longer, maybe 6 months programs depending on the education provider. So we're open to options, but we found success where it's short turnaround, really compact, lots of material, but valuable learning, always hands-on experience, always great teachers and education providers.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I mean, it's probably fun to work with because you get to learn so much about so many different fields that maybe you, you didn't before.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've learned a lot about HVAC that I never would have thought.
Right. I know I was recently at the dentist getting a teeth cleaning and they had a student in there shadowing. And I was just asking her some questions. And she was saying she was trying to get into the hygienist program at our community college, which is apparently very competitive, which I never would have known or really thought about. And she was just kind of sharing about her journey. And it is interesting, how much we don't necessarily know the details of if you've not worked in it.
Yeah, there's several people have contacted me about dental assistance and training programs in the last couple of weeks. So, when those start to match up with the data, you've got those testimonials. Now I've got something to work with, and I can kind of take a snowball of an idea and grow it into a real program.
Yeah, like people are asking about this and being able to use that. And then you're recruiting a little bit. It's already started for you because you know what's in demand for it, which is pretty cool. So I got to hear a little bit about your background recently, and would love for you to share that because I just thought it was really fascinating. So you were a teacher for several years and now kind of moved into doing this. So can you share about that?
Yeah. So I went to school, went to Michigan State, go green, and I wanted to be a computer programmer at the time. And I took a couple of programming class. I took one programming class, and I was like, "This is not for me." So sort of changed my major and became a teacher. Had a really good experience, and I've had a lot of great teachers in my teachers and coaches in my kind of life. And so I saw an opportunity there, really fell in love with it, and did that for about 10, 11 years in a couple different states, and always a coach wherever I was. Just found value in providing the opportunity and giving back to the community, being involved in the community. And so around COVID time, I went back to school, got my master's in ed leadership, and I was going to be planned on kind of being a high school or middle school principal, and then realized I didn't really want to do that. My wife and I got pregnant, so we had our daughter, and wanted to have a little bit more balance. And so I started wanted to learn more about business, looking for connections and opportunities. And I found this job at the chamber and kind of workforce development, a little bit of HR, some coaching, some research involved. I was a science teacher, so a lot of data and things that this is all in my wheelhouse. And I just fell in love with the role and the work that we do every day. It doesn't really feel like work. We're helping people with their lives and kind of their betterment. And that's kind of what I enjoy doing.
I love that. It's interesting common threads. What we all really want to know is, are adults easier to work with than middle schoolers? Because I feel like they're not always, which is maybe a diss to us.
Different needs, different needs. I mean, I will say the adults aren't as like married to their cell phones. I mean, certainly we are throughout the day. Technology can leach into things, but just different needs, different issues, things that come up. Life is tough. You got bills to pay. You got transportation issues. Your car breaks down. It's not the
Right.
same. Um,
Yeah, not stuff that kids hopefully are
yeah.
worried about in the day to day the same way.
hmm
Makes sense. Any advice for our listeners in other communities who might want to create something like this wherever they are?
Yeah. Find your partners early. Really understand and know what success looks like for them, and then find those winning opportunities where you can come alongside them. A good example is, like I mentioned, that Dwyer Workforce Development. We have similar common goals. We support each other. Um, I would say, build levels of support. Meet your clients or your community where they're at. Us being able to provide a variety of CNA programs. That's because one's not the right match for everyone based on your schedule, your life. So having a variety of options certainly helps. Make sure you know what your outcomes are, how you're measuring success. I know a lot of programs kind of measure, seat time or, it's not always about that. It's like, what are the tangible takeaways as a result of that seat time? Um, I think just relationship based. I mean, we've sort of taken the approach that everything is, it's not transactional. Don't call me when you need something. Call me in between, right? Like, maintain those relationships and those partnerships, and then everything becomes a little bit easier if everyone's involved in the process from the get go. That it certainly helps our results and our programs grow over the last few years.
Yeah, that's all really true, especially the networking part, I think.
hmm
Awesome. Well, we always close with a fun question, but before we get to that, anything else you'd like to share that you feel like we haven't covered?
Just one. There's a couple individual success stories I wanted to share.
Okay, go for
So
it.
one of the HVAC students from a couple years ago was one of my prior students. And so, I saw his name come through and I'm like, I know that name. So I interviewed him and I don't think he really recognized me, but eventually we figured out I was a teacher. And so he's young, new, this is like, would be his first opportunity to get into the workforce. And so he goes through the program and kind of like the coming of age story, right? He gets his first job afterwards and I'm so happy for him. So I'm driving to work one day, and I look over, and there he is. His name's Josh. He's sitting in the truck next to me, and I'm like, oh, I gotta take a picture and send this to him, right? So I take a picture. He rolls his window down. He's like, what are you doing? What are you? Because he's like, some guy's taking my picture, but he's like, oh, hey, Mr. Gollenbeck. I'm like, so hey. So later he texts me and he goes, hey, can you send me that picture? I really want to show it to my dad. Like, that's the kind of like impact and stories, and everyone's got a story, and they're all worth sharing. But that's just one highlight I like to share with everybody.
I love that. Well, our fun question that I referenced is, so you're based in Sarasota, and if someone were visiting the area for the first time, what is like a bucket list item you would say they should definitely do? And maybe something a little off the beaten path that wouldn't be the first thing that would pop up if they were searching for things.
Let's see. Obviously, Siesta Key is a must. Check out the beaches while you're down here. St. Armand Circle is very popular for shopping. The Ringling Museum. There's a lot of arts and culture that our community is built off of. I would say see a show. Everyone doesn't always make time to do that, but there's lots of great opportunities and events going on. The circus is still a thing down here, and so I would say check out the circus. I'm going to be doing that in next week, so maybe that's why it's on top of my mind. But just check out all the arts and culture that we have, in between when you're at the beach.
Right. No, I have not been there, but I've heard really good things. And just for good measure, so it's February, mid-February right now. And what is the temperature there?
70, sunny right now.
Awesome.
I walked to the store just a moment ago and it was beautiful. 72.
I just thought
sunny.
we'd put that out there for everyone.
Yeah, that's what it looks like the rest of the week too.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. I feel like this was a great kickoff to our season. Covered a lot of details about a cool program, and I think that'll be super helpful for anyone kind of looking for ideas on how to support people in their community on their workforce journey, as well as employers with what they need. So really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for the invite, Amanda. Happy to be here, and really appreciate the opportunity to get to know you and your team.
Thanks for listening to the Livability Podcast, where we take you inside America's best cities. At Livability, we highlight the unsung awesomeness of small and mid-sized cities across the country. We also partner with communities to reach their target companies and potential residents through digital content and print magazine programs. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, rate, and review this show wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also learn more about us at livabilitymedia.com. Have an idea for an upcoming episode? Email me at aellis@livability.com. Until next time, from Livability, I'm Amanda Ellis, sharing the stories of America's most promising places.